What happened to Alex Eala at the Australian Open today wasn't just a tennis match. It was a pressure cooker that exploded in real time. She dominated the first set 6-0, a complete demolition. Then everything fell apart. By the time the final point was played, Eala needed a security escort just to leave the court safely. Thousands of Filipino fans were locked outside Court 6, unable to support their hero.
Will look back on this week with incredible pride. But this is tough at the moment for her. Well, she's being told X, Y, and Z, and I don't think much of it's sticking. I think she just wants to get out of there.
The umpire kept warning the crowd. The atmosphere turned from celebration to chaos. And through it all, a 20-year-old carried the weight of an entire nation's expectations on her shoulders until she couldn't anymore. What we witnessed wasn't just a loss. It was a breakdown of everything around her. If you want to understand what really happened on Court 6 today and why this match exposed serious problems with how the Australian Open handles rising stars with massive followings, hit that subscribe button now. This story goes way deeper than the scoreline. Let me set the scene for you. Alex Eala walked onto Court 6 today as the biggest story of the early rounds. Top 50 player, Filipino sensation. Thousands of fans who traveled internationally just to watch her play. The energy was electric before a single ball was struck. And for one set, everything was perfect. Eala came out and delivered the kind of performance that made people believe she was destined for greatness. She won the first set 6-0, a bagel, complete domination. Alycia Parks, ranked 62 in the world and coming off decent form, couldn't win a single game. Eala was hitting winners from everywhere. Her serve was clicking, her movement was sharp, her confidence was sky high. Filipino fans in Court 6 were going absolutely wild. Every point Eala won brought roars that echoed across Melbourne Park. This wasn't just support, this was a movement. Thousands of people united behind one player, creating an atmosphere that rivals anything you'd see at a major stadium court. But here's where things started to go wrong. Court 6 is one of the smaller show courts at the Australian Open. It holds maybe a couple thousand people at most. The demand to watch Eala was exponentially higher than that. Reports started flooding social media during the match. Thousands of Filipino fans were stuck in massive queues outside Court 6, unable to get in. The line stretched hundreds of meters. People had been waiting for hours. Families with kids. Elderly fans who traveled from the Philippines. All locked out because the court was already at capacity. Think about that for a second. You have one of the tournament's hottest stories, a player with a passionate international following, and you put her on a court that can't accommodate even a fraction of her supporters. That's not just poor planning. That's disrespectful to the player and the fans who paid money and traveled across the world. Inside Court 6, the atmosphere was reaching fever pitch. Every Eala point brought deafening cheers. The energy was incredible, but it was also becoming a problem. The chair umpire started issuing warnings about crowd noise during points. Fans were being told to quiet down, to stop celebrating so loudly, to contain their support. Here's the thing, tennis has strict rules about crowd noise during play. That makes sense for maintaining fairness. But when you create a situation where thousands of passionate fans are crammed into a tiny venue with terrible acoustics, what did you expect to happen? You can't manufacture that kind of electric atmosphere and then punish people for being exactly what you created. The chair umpire seemed more concerned with silencing the crowd than ensuring fairness on the lines. Each warning was a blow to Alex's confidence. You could see it affecting her, the player who feeds off energy, suddenly watching that energy get suppressed point after point. Eala was trying to navigate this impossible situation. She's feeding off the energy, using it to fuel her dominant first set, but she's also aware that the umpire is getting frustrated with her supporters. She's caught between wanting the crowd's support and not wanting them to get penalized. That's mental pressure on top of the already enormous pressure of trying to win a Grand Slam match. Then the second set began, and everything changed. Parks made adjustments. Credit to her, she's a professional athlete who refused to fold after getting demolished in the first set. She started playing more aggressively, taking the ball earlier, putting Eala on the defensive. That's just good tennis. But something else shifted too. The momentum that Eala had built so convincingly in the first set started evaporating. Parks won the second set 6-3, and suddenly this match that seemed completely in control was now competitive. The crowd noise warnings continued. The umpire kept having to pause between points to ask for quiet. Filipino fans, who had waited hours to watch their hero play, were being told to essentially stop being passionate. That created tension. You could feel the atmosphere changing from pure celebration to something more fraught. Eala was visibly affected. You could see it in her body language. The confidence from the first set was fading. She was getting tight on big points. Her serve, which had been so reliable in the first set, started breaking down. Double faults crept in at crucial moments. By the third set, Parks had completely taken over. She won 6-2, completing an incredible comeback from 0 to 6 down. But the final score doesn't tell the whole story of what happened on that court today. After match point, something remarkable and heartbreaking happened simultaneously. Eala needed a heavy security presence just to navigate through the crowd. Not because of danger, because of love. Thousands of Filipino fans wanted to reach her, to show support. She stayed on the court signing autographs. Not for 5 minutes. Not for 10 minutes. She stayed until security had to physically guide her away because the crowd was so massive. She was gracious. She was smiling through what had to be devastating disappointment. She was still being the role model her country needed her to be. But you have to understand the emotional toll of what just happened. Eala carried the expectations of millions of Filipinos into that match. She started by delivering everything they hoped for: dominant, confident, unstoppable. Then she watched it all slip away as the pressure mounted, as the crowd situation became chaotic, as the weight of those expectations became too much to sustain. That's the breakdown, not a meltdown, not a tantrum. A breakdown of the entire support structure around a young player who deserved better. The Australian Open has to answer serious questions about how this was handled. When you have a player generating this level of interest, you cannot put them on court 6. You cannot create a situation where thousands of paying fans are locked out. You cannot let the crowd atmosphere become so problematic that the umpire has to constantly intervene. Eala needed to be on a stadium court. Rod Laver Arena, Margaret Court Arena, John Cain Arena. Somewhere with the capacity to handle the demand. Somewhere with better acoustics that could absorb crowd noise without it disrupting play. Somewhere that respected the magnitude of what she represents to tennis fans globally. Instead, she got court 6, crowd chaos, and an impossible situation to navigate at 20 years old while trying to win the biggest matches of her life. Let's talk about what this match revealed about the pressure Eala is under. She's not just playing for herself. She's playing for the Philippines, a country that's never had a tennis player achieve what she's achieving. Every match she plays, millions of people back home are watching. Every point matters not just for her ranking, but for the pride of an entire nation. That's incredible when it works in your favor like it did in the first set. That energy can be rocket fuel. But when things start going wrong, when the momentum shifts, that same pressure can become crushing. You're not just disappointing yourself, you're disappointing millions of people who believe in you. Eala has handled this pressure remarkably well throughout her rise, but today showed that even the mentally toughest players have breaking points. When you combine the weight of national expectations with organizational failures that create chaos around your match, something has to give. Parks deserves credit for her comeback. She stayed mentally strong after a brutal first set and found a way to turn the match around. That's championship-level mental toughness. But this match will be remembered not for Parks' comeback, but for what Eala endured and how the Australian Open failed to properly support one of their most compelling stories. The images from after the match tell the story. Eala surrounded by security, thousands of fans reaching for her. Her signing autographs with a smile despite having just lost. The massive queues of people who never got to see her play. That's not how this should have gone. Social media exploded after the match. Filipino fans were posting about being locked out. Tennis analysts were questioning why Eala wasn't on a bigger court. Players and coaches were commenting on the impossible pressure she was under. This isn't just a one-day story. This is going to spark serious conversations about how tournaments handle players with massive international followings. The question now is how Eala recovers from this. She's 20 years old. She just experienced one of the most emotionally intense matches of her career, and she did it under circumstances that no player should have to endure. Does this break her, or does it make her stronger? Based on everything we've seen from her, she'll come back stronger. She's shown incredible resilience throughout her career. She's handled pressure that would crush most players. She stayed gracious after a devastating loss and gave everything to her fans even in defeat. But the Australian Open needs to learn from this. You cannot treat rising stars with massive followings as afterthoughts. You cannot put them in situations designed to fail. You cannot create crowd chaos and then blame fans for being passionate. Eala deserved better today. Her fans deserved better. Tennis deserved better. What happened on Court 6 wasn't just a tennis match. It was a young player carrying impossible weight, an organization that failed to properly support her, and thousands of fans who showed up with love and got chaos in return. Listen, if this breakdown of what really happened today opened your eyes to the pressure these young players face and the organizational failures that make their jobs even harder, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the stories that matter in tennis. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Australian Open failed Alex Eala today? Use #Justice for Eala to join the conversation. And if you're as fired up about this as I am, share this video with someone who needs to understand what really went down on Court 6, because what we witnessed today wasn't just a loss. It was a breakdown that never should have happened.